Hey, everybody. Y'all come on in. Y'all come on in. We've got some
That they are
updates
going
here.
to dedicate that particular foundation towards in the future. But right now, that's really the mission statement. There's of course been details shared online from all of us and others. So if you want more details on the Gabby Petito Foundation, just go to gabbypetitofoundation.org. Let's go around the horn here. Walt,
Hey,
let's start with
everybody.
you
Y'all
here
come on in and we'll
as
get
we
this
wrap up here on
started.
WFLA Now.
We've got some updates
Your
on the
thoughts
Gabby
here
Petito case that is
on this terrible
breaking.
news that we get today as far as Gabby Petito dying of strangulation, as far as how it impacts now how we move forward.
Well, obviously it.
Well, everybody is talking about this, and in a lot of instances, when cases like this become a media circus, I typically will try to, uh, you know, I'll try to like bow out as gracefully as possible. And when I talk about the case, I just only want to speak on facts. A lot of people are coming online and throwing out a lot of opinions and a lot of conjecture. And I don't operate that way. Brian Laundrie has not been found yet, December baby. He is still missing right now. Hey, Janet, good to see you. Hey, TRG. So, as of today, about an hour or so ago, breaking news came through in regards to the Gabby Petito case. So, I definitely want to talk about this with you guys. Shout out to all you guys that are watching in the bushes and in the chat across Facebook, Twitch, all the different platforms that we stream on. Let's go. Let's just go on and jump right on into this. So, the coroner has came out. Teton County coroner has released some news that the cause of death for Gabby Petito has been noted, and it appears that Gabby was strangled to death. Hold on a second. I cannot stand these commercials when they do that. If I could just say to the web engineers and the web admins and who control the websites and embed all the media and all that, it's really effing annoying when you set a video or audio to just automatically run and make it intentionally difficult for people not to be able to locate what that is. It's just so sneaky, and I just can't stand that. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So, Teton County coroner Dr. Brent Blue had a very interesting statement on this entire Gabby Petito case, even talking about the points of how this particular case has received an unprecedented amount of news media coverage, and it has. Since I started covering this case, since it first began, we've been covering it here at LeakU and crimeandinvestigations.com. We've been covering this case ever since it happened. And even in the first 2 or 3 days of coverage, even I noticed people that I know come around into my circle, right? Or maybe affiliated with me some sort of way or whatnot. I just seen an increase in the number of bloggers that were covering this case. And you don't always see that in every case. And on top of that, along with this particular case, you've got stories coming out where Black women and Black men who are going missing in the United States are not getting the type of coverage. This also sparked an unprecedented amount of coverage for Jelani Day. So there's just been a lot going on. This case, there's a lot going on. You got Dog the Bounty Hunter down in Florida searching for Brian Laundrie, who has now had to leave the area after searching for 2 weeks in the swamps of Florida. Okay, the absolute swamp of Florida. If y'all haven't had an opportunity to understand what I mean when I say swamp, just go to Central Florida for a week. Just walk outside. Just walk outside and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I kid you not. I actually have lived in Central Florida personally, but man, let me tell you, the last time I was standing in Central Florida, a snake, legit snake, a water moccasin, got so close to me, crawled my way. It's like it wasn't even scared of me. Not to mention the fact there's wild packs of dogs and other animals that get released into the wild, and snakes, constrictor types mainly, even poisonous ones, where they just get let loose because their owners can't take care of them no more or can't feed them, and they just grow under the jungle, or I should say the swamp of the Florida glades. Become very big snakes. So yeah, it is not a forgiving place. It's an extremely formidable place to be. There's not one place you're going to be able to take a step without there being an alligator, a snake. Now, is it possible that Brian Laundrie is still alive? Until I see him laid out on a slab, Brian Laundrie's alive. It's been several weeks now. His parents have been under investigation for helping him and hindering the investigation. Police, I know, have been discussing internally on whether or not to charge those two. But it has now been confirmed that Gabby Petito died of strangulation. Strangling someone, you guys, that is not an easy task. I don't know if you guys have ever took the opportunity to just do a little 5-10 minutes of research and look at how intense and personal a strangulation is. It is not easy to strangle someone to death. We're talking 3-4 minutes of compressing someone's air, their throat, refusing to allow air to get in their body. Now, here's the other interesting thing, guys. The coroner has stated that he believes that Gabby Petito was killed 3 to 4 weeks prior to her body being found. Her body was found, by the way, in Bridger-Teton National Forest in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I kid you not, I was just up that way last week and the week before. I got to go, actually, to the Grand Teton National Park. Sorry for the sirens there, y'all. Hold on, I have to see why the sirens are there. Hold on a sec. Sorry about that. That was kind of odd. It just stopped right outside and making sure wasn't nothing crazy going on. But anyway, so Gabby Petito, it has been confirmed. The coroner, Brent Blue, has confirmed, the Teton County coroner has confirmed that Gabby Petito died from strangulation. There was a news briefing. I'm going to play that here for you in just a second. This briefing happened today. The FBI has uncovered, after they uncovered Gabby's remains there, her body was sent for this autopsy. Gabby was 22 years old, and the Grand Teton County coroner had already released information that Gabby, her manner of death was a homicide. No question about that. Now the method of homicide has been announced. Now, Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito's fiance, and the only person of interest named in connection with her death and with this case, has not been seen since September the 13th. He's also the subject of a federal warrant for an alleged bank card fraud, which I honestly have a sneaking suspicion that that bank card fraud charge was leveraged against him in an effort to get a warrant out for his arrest. They have not charged him in the death of Gabby Petito officially. And what's going to be a very interesting legal junction with this case is going to be who's going to have jurisdiction. This particular case, there's just cases that come and they go like this, right? It's just the way that it always has been in Crimes and Justice and in crime news and things like that. But the one thing I can tell you that's going to be very interesting for this particular case is, again, the jurisdiction, but the zone of death. Now, although Gabby was not found, her body was not located in the zone of death, right? That is the 50-mile area where There is a federal land that's controlled by our federal government. There is no state jurisdiction that reaches into that particular section of land. And there has been cases in the past where murders have taken place, but there's no jurors. There's no jury. You don't have a jury. But yet there still has to be some kind of jurisdiction over that area, right? Well, this is not where Gabby was found. But one of the things that some lawyers and other, I call them legal heads or whatever, have brought up is if Gabby Petito was killed in this particular area, it doesn't matter where the body was dumped. You know what I mean? They're going to charge where the murder happened, right? So that's why you probably keep hearing people talking about the zone of death, and why you keep hearing people talk about federal jurisdiction, state jurisdiction. That's why you keep hearing that, because there is a lot up for debate at this point. Now, Gabby's remains were out in the Wyoming wilderness for 3 to 4 weeks per the coroner. That's important to note. Her body was there for 3 to 4 weeks. Remember, Brian Laundrie showed up at his parents' home in Gabby's van, sans Gabby. She was last seen alive on August the 27th, 3 weeks and 2 days before the discovery. Keep in mind, too, it is summertime. It is late summer, although winter is coming and closing in on us fast. But it's quite warm outside, and I don't really need to say what that means, right? That could definitely accelerate the breakdown as far as, when someone passes away, that sort of a thing. But they have, quote, "We hereby find the cause and manner of death to be the cause, death by strangulation, and manner is homicide. By Wyoming state statute, no other information will be released about the autopsy." He ruled out rumors that Petito had been pregnant at the time of her death. Gabby was not pregnant. He also stressed that information about a potential suspect would have to come from law enforcement. Again, county coroners are not the law. They're only doing the autopsy and investigating the slain from that perspective and providing medical details to police. Now, Mr. Brent Blue declined to go into any great detail about the autopsy findings, citing the Wyoming law. But Pat Diaz, a longtime Miami-Dade homicide detective, said the examiner likely reached the strangulation conclusion due to a broken hyoid. Again, that is just a lot of conjecture, though. If you're strangled, there's going to be marks around your neck, too. I'm pretty sure, unless the skin, that there's going to be some bruising. And they can actually, I kid you not, in an autopsy, they can legit go under the skin, if you get what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be on the outside. They can actually look on the inside, and they'll be able to see bruising. Now, again, this body would have been in a pretty medium to late stage of decomp, okay? Strangulation could be difficult, actually, to prosecute in a court. That's why a lot of times the less you say, the better, especially in times that are in cases like this when you don't have the suspect in custody. The less said is sometimes better, guys. So they only said that they have declared it as a homicide and that strangulation is the cause. He attributed, by the way, his lengthy delay in announcing the cause of death due to his thoroughness in the examination of her body. Now, he's also complained about the media circus that this case has become. By the way, guys, they went full stop in regards to Gabby's autopsy. They did x-rays. They did a CAT scan on her body. Like, CAT scans are not typical of an autopsy. They're just not. Now, Brian Laundrie, he actually had returned to what would have been considered Gabby's home too, because Gabby and Brian were staying with his parents in Northport, Florida in early September, but he returned after their cross country trip in her van, by the way. He returns back to his parents' home, sans Gabby. No Gabby's to be found, right? Gabby, again, is 22 years old. He returns home back in September without Petito, and he absolutely refused to talk to authorities. And not only has he refused, his mother and father have absolutely refused too. You guys know what this case almost reminds me of a little bit? A little bit of the Casey Anthony case. Remember the Casey Anthony case? That was nuts, right? But it sort of gives me that type of feeling just because of how the parents are acting. Now, let's just keep it a stack here. Brian Laundrie's parents have did absolutely barely anything to help authorities. I believe I did see the father out about a week or so ago. It almost looked like a stage type of thing, but he shows up at the same entrance gate where Brian Laundrie is said to have entered into the, I call it the swamps, because it's very swampy in Florida. Snakes, alligators, poisonous frogs, all of that, okay? Man, let me tell you something. I had a house in Florida, dead central Florida, and I kid you not. There were so many different types of snakes that used to just frolic in the backyard. Some of them would just sun on top of some of, like, because you don't have really tall trees in Florida, right? It's really hot. You want the really nice, tall, really cool trees. You got to go to the west part of the United States. But yeah, these, they'll crawl up in sun on the leaves and things like that. It's just, I don't know why I'm stuck on that right now, but guys, I'll just never forget an incident one time with a snake in my yard. I even considered getting snake fencing. Very expensive snake fencing, but the truth of the matter is, it honestly turned out to be a situation where I could never really play around in my yard, and my kids couldn't play in my yard either. But I had a huge yard. But yeah, we didn't play around in the yard at all. We didn't do anything in the yard. It could actually be quite unsettling. Lifting things up, pots, if you're into planting things, it's very scary sometimes. I mean, the same here in Texas, but for me, it just seemed really prevalent there in Florida. But let me get the hell off of that. I'm sorry, y'all. Now, remember, Brian Laundrie has been, he left home. He left his parents' home, all right, with a backpack on September the 14th. It's possible they're saying now that it could have been the 13th when that happened, right? Like I said, he refused to talk to authorities. His parents, specifically his mother. If you guys pay really close attention to which actual parent is not doing the talking, it's his mom. And I don't know I know what my expectations would be, but again, that's her son. That's her son. And I think that she has withheld, I should say, withheld. She's probably withheld some information, but I'm not sure if any of that information has been something that would be pertinent to the investigation. Again, that's up for law enforcement to determine. But when I tell you they've been searching 25,000 acres of land in Florida in this nature reserve, there's a federal arrest warrant for Brian Laundrie's arrest. And here he is. Guys, they say that he is a survivalist. He's camped out in the Appalachian trails. If he can make it in a place like Grand Teton National Park, for goodness sakes, very wooded. So it's not woods. It's what we call forest. There's no such thing as woods up there. We got woods in Florida and in Texas and all that, but no, that's forest up there. There's so many trees, it gets dark around you during the daytime. But there's bears, there's mountain lions, there's all sorts of mammals that you would not find in your typical Florida nature reserve. My question is, how much money did he have on him? Did they really drop him off at the nature reserve? Are we actually really thinking here that Brian Laundrie is just, what? Is he just sleeping outside with the gators and the crocodiles and the snakes? Guys, I'm not kidding you about the Florida swamps. There's no way that any human being would be able just to lay their backpack on the ground on some grass and lay back and kick it and even sleep a full 2 hours. Because I'm telling you, the snakes and the gators and the crocodiles and the poisonous frogs and all that stuff, it's just, there's so much of it. It's really, what, mosquitoes? So my question is anybody helping him? Is anybody helping him? Is he getting any assistance from anyone? Or do you guys think he's dead? I don't think that he's dead. I really don't think that, unless his life has been taken from him. But for somebody that would go through all this effort to take off and kind of hide from the authorities in an effort because they can't face the fact of what they did, he's not going to kill himself, y'all. He's not going to kill himself. You can forget that. This is one of those situations, it's like 3-5 years from now, he's still going to be wanted. There's been a couple of cases like this over the years, you know. Yes, Feroz. Yeah, I don't believe he's dead. I believe that he's absolutely on the run. He's hiding from authorities. He knew that he strangled that girl. He knew what that coroner was going to come back with. You guys, strangulation is a very personal way to kill somebody, okay? Strangling someone to death takes minutes, not what you're typically used to seeing on TV. It's not some 15-second, 30-second thing. Not only do you have to continue to hold the pressure on somebody's windpipe to try to restrict their air, we're talking minutes, multiple minutes. And even 1 to 2 minutes can really feel or seem like a long time. Strangulation is extremely personal. Let's listen to these results, you guys. I want to get a little more information here.
By Wyoming state statute, no other information will be released about the autopsy.
Actually, before I do that, hold on a sec. 1 second, guys. Let me do it this way. There has been a reporter, by the way, I think he deserves some recognition, this reporter. He has been adamant about his coverage on this case. I think he's lived and breathed this case for the last several weeks, actually. Let me get his name here. JB. Now, I'm familiar with JB because we're WFLA here in D-Town. So I'm extremely familiar with JB, and shout out to JB. He has absolutely been watching this case and covering this case since it started. I mean, every day, guys, almost every day, I think.
Teton County coroner. But what we're going to do now here, everybody, we're going to take a 60-second break, and this allows us to bring in our WFLA Now Facebook Live audience back in 60 seconds here on WFLA Now.
And I want to get to the conference here.
WFLA Now will begin momentarily.
There we go.
To what they tell us, what he might tell us happened to her. You've had some communication with the family, and this will not be a surprise for her parents. I think that is an important thing to mention, JB, that the family has been notified before Dr. Brent Blue goes public, whatever findings he will release to us today. So I did want to mention that to our new viewers here as we count down just about 2 minutes away from this highly anticipated Zoom news conference with the coroner from Teton County, Wyoming. But yeah, JB, it's been really, we spent a lot of time the last few weeks kind of piecing together this timeline, not just leading up to the 27th when Gabby was last seen, but also that 11-day window, JB, between the 1st and the 11th. Like you mentioned, that camping trip that has drawn a lot of scrutiny. Who knew what when? As I've told you before, I went knocking on Cassie Laundrie's door a few weeks ago, and she did not come out to talk to me, but she came out because she was just sick of the protesters, and she's talked about a kind of a fracture in her family, that she's not even talking to her parents there. And the family attorney, Mr. Bertolino, has said that he doesn't represent her, and she's come out, like you said way more than the parents have said publicly. So a lot of unexpected twists and turn here, but this will really be from a medical perspective, hopefully some answers today. Difficult news to process. It might be hard for some of you at home to hear, exactly what they tell us, what he might tell us happened to her. But again, all eyes on this news conference today, as the coroner will come out and provide more information about the autopsy of this 22-year-old woman who by now the world knows her name after sadly she vanished and her body was located in that forest in Wyoming.
So I want to repeat this because we've now, I think, tripled our audience here, and I want to make sure that everybody's aware of this. So of course, by now people know that I've been in contact with Gabby Petito's family. This is not going to be new news to them. They're not going to be watching this and learning like the rest of the world. This is, of course, and that's not unexpected. That's not unexpected. Law enforcement, of course, doing okay. Let's hashtag HJB, hashtag HJustin. We'll come back here after this press conference. We'll come back here live. They're about to unmute. We'll watch for your hashtag HJB, hashtag HJustin comments here, and we'll have your reaction and discuss how this impacts Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie going forward here live on WFLA Now after the Teton County press conference here gets concluded. As of right now here, folks, we understand this is Dr. Brent Blue. If you look right there in the bottom left-hand portion of your screen, you will see that mute icon. People who are very Zoom savvy know that he has not unmuted himself here yet. So perhaps waiting just another moment here. But
cause and manner of death.
I think they said they can't hear you. Just 1 second.
Your extent.
We are estimating 3, and manner is homicide. Should I start over then? Thank you for joining us. Sorry about the audio issue. I'm Dr. Brent Blue, Teton County, Wyoming coroner. After a detailed investigation by our forensic pathologist, our anthropologist, and local law enforcement, with assistance from the FBI, the Teton County Coroner's Office is following the following verdict. In the manner of death of Gabrielle Lenora Petito, we find the cause and manner to be death by strangulation, and manner is homicide. By Wyoming state statute, only the cause and manner of death are released. Their autopsy findings and photographs and that sort of material is not released by state statute. And I'll be glad to entertain some questions at this time.
Hi, Brian. This is Alex with the News and Guide. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm curious whether you're able to pinpoint a date of death and when, and if you know whether or when Gabby's remains will be returned to her family.
The remains have been returned to the mortuary here, and the mortuary is dealing with the family at this time as far as the disposition of the remains. As far as the time of death, we are estimating 3 to 4 weeks from the time that the body was found. That is actually determined by law enforcement first, than our office.
Chris, Vivian, you are able to ask your question.
What's the question? I didn't hear a question.
Chris, I believe that you are muted. If you can unmute yourself.
Okay, it's John Walsh from In Pursuit with John Walsh on Discovery ID. Dr. Blue, thank you for your time. I think everybody in the world believes that Brian Laundrie killed Gabby. With your extensive work on the body, are you sure that it's Brian Laundrie? And will the FBI issue a nationwide homicide
I know, right?
warrant
Bobby is
now
kind of
that they
crazy.
know the cause of death?
We are only tasked with the determination of cause and manner of death. Who committed the
It's
homicide
not
is
him
up to
operating the
law
computer, though. It's
enforcement, and I cannot answer the question about the FBI.
his assistant.
You would have to contact them.
And the truth of the
Jeremy
matter
Copus,
is, let me
you
just keep it a
are
stack here. The truth of the matter is, there's not really much that was released in this news conference, except really the cause of death, which is everything, right? But the medical examiner has zero input into right now in regards to like what law enforcement may be saying like is a motive or that sort of a thing. Like he can't speak to that, right? He can only speak to the cause of death and that the manner of death was homicide. And he is, I would say, shielding himself with the Wyoming law in regards to the details. Because listen, this guy, this particular coroner, Brent Blue, has been very vocal about how this particular missing persons case is getting a lot of press and other cases are not. He actually said that. He actually said that. He has even previously declined to answer questions about whether his office was even equipped with x-ray machines, that sort of a thing. My understanding is they even did an entire CAT scan on her body. It would have been looking at any broken bones, anything that would have been going on that they may not have been able to see. It's not like they can look at every single bone in your body in an autopsy. You know, usually they're only opening up the chest area. They're not looking for any other, sorts of. And we don't know the state. We know her body was in an advanced state of decomposition, but until you put your eyes on some photos or something of that effect, you're not going to really know how advanced that decomposition was. Now, Gabby Petito's family are making arrangements to return her body to New York. Bringing her home, is my understanding, they have said is their top priority. And that comes from the attorney for her parents. Now, the coroner also said, quote, he attributed the lengthy delay in announcing the cause of death to his thoroughness in examination of her body. Quote, we were very exacting in our examination and the detail by which that examination was done. We were waiting for various specialists to come in and help us with this investigation. We were waiting on toxicology to be returned, and it was just a matter of making sure we had everything right. End quote. And by the way, he has not and has actually declined to release any findings from her toxicology report at this time. He is citing Wyoming law, Wyoming statutes again, whether you want to call it shielding or using the law like an umbrella. He's definitely trying to limit the amount of information he's releasing to the public. Now, Gabby was a travel blogger. Her body was found September 19th. We reported on that day when this happened, when her body was actually found. We had actually been reporting on it for a good portion of the day that day. Now, Brian Laundrie has been charged with unauthorized use of a debit card belonging to Gabby. I highly doubt that charge will even stick, honestly, but it was something to get him charged. He is only considered a person of interest right now. He's not been charged with anything in Gabby's death, guys. He only has the pending fraud charge against him right now. Now, police were called on the couple in Moab, Utah. Recall this from our reporting earlier. Remember, there were also 2 women that were found dead in Moab, Utah, in Grand Teton National Park the same weekend. Okay, the same like, what was it, a day or two before Gabby's body was found. There were 2 women that were killed in Moab, Utah. Police are, I would have to get an update on that, but last I checked, police were not really saying whether they thought Brian was involved in that or not, but it sure doesn't seem right, does it? Now, Laundrie apparently, or no, allegedly had slapped and hit Gabby outside an organic grocer in Moab, Utah, when the police came and spoke with them. We watched the footage of her talking to the police. They were separated that night, remember? No charges were filed, but they were split up overnight. Brian Laundrie was taken to a hotel. Well, it is not clear if he actually checked in to that hotel. The owner actually of that particular hotel told Fox, I should say Fixed News, that the room that had been, I guess he was going to stay in, had been booked through a nonprofit for domestic violence victims and was not in his name. Jason Jensen, a Salt Lake City-based private investigator, predicted that the cause of death would be strangulation due to Petito's gesturing towards her chin and neck in the body cam video of the August 12th incident. It wasn't the first time he choked her. But again, guys, strangulation is a very personal crime. You have to be up on the person. It's not like shooting a gun at somebody where you can have distance. You have to be up on the person. You have to touch that person. And again, you have to compress their breathing apparatus for 2, 3, 4 minutes. It's a long time. It's a long time. Now, on August 27th, in what was possibly the last public sighting of Gabby Petito, eyewitnesses have said that they saw her crying as Brian Laundrie fought with restaurant staff at a restaurant called Mary Piglet's, a Tex-Mex restaurant in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. The point of the matter is Gabby has not been seen alive since August 27th. On September 1st, months after they began their trip, Brian Laundrie returned home to the Northport, Florida home in Gabby's Ford van, her travel van. But Gabby was not with him. The young woman was not reported missing until 10 days later, on September 11th, when Brian Laundrie's mother notified police in Suffolk County, New York. Authorities later seized the van from the Laundrie's home. Brian Laundrie has been subsequently named a person of interest, but his whereabouts are still unknown at this time. Hold on just one second, you guys.
We have a question from the chat. Was Gabby Petito pregnant?
She was not pregnant.
I hope y'all heard that, because that is the one thing that people were asking, was Gabby pregnant? For some reason, people thought that she was pregnant. Gabby was not pregnant with Brian Laundrie's child, you guys. She was not pregnant with Brian Laundrie's child. Hold on just one second here. It's a very interesting way to do a presser, huh? They're all on Zoom now.
Thomas Tope.
Hi, doctor. My question, did you seek the advice of a forensic entomologist or forensic botanist during the course of your investigation?
The FBI has sent materials to a forensic entomologist.
It's very, it's a little weird to watch a presser like this on Zoom, having to wait for people to talk and all the audio issues they're having and all of that kind of stuff. Now, if you guys want to go watch this presser, feel free to go check it out. There's the link in the chat. What's up, Third Eye? Shout out to you, babe. Hope you're well. Shout out to Interloper Nation, baby. Much love. All right, now there is something else that's very interesting that I want to show you guys that also happened. The laundry baskets, okay? The laundry baskets. Did you guys see that? Yeah, people are trolling the heck out of the Laundrie family, and people started going and getting, laundry baskets and putting them in the front yard of the Laundrie family's home. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. The family came out, the father and the mother came out to pick these little laundry baskets up. They were spread out all across the yard while being questioned by members of the press and other people that were standing there in front of their home. I mean, people are still in front of their home. There was a sign there. And on that sign, it said, "Hey, do you remember me?" With a picture of Gabby. They were very pressed over baskets because it sounds like they've got some dirty laundry they need to wash, huh? Yeah, it's a heck of a way to troll, isn't it? It's a heck of a way to troll.
Very good. Hopefully they can see it.
Gabby lived with them, you guys. There's probably some of Gabby's things inside that house. And these are neighbors. They have to live on the same street with these people. Could you imagine? By the way, guys, this is about to be breaking news all over the world, I can assure you.
You live in the neighborhood.
This is going to be breaking news all over the world.
Yeah, there we go. It's good news.
Now, full 911 call from Appalachian Trail hiker Dennis Davis. He says he saw Brian Laundrie in a pickup truck along the trail in North Carolina.
For just a little while, I ran.
Haywood County
He could be there,
911.
you
What's
guys.
the location of your emergency?
Well, I'm on the highway right now, but I ran into Brian Lauer just a little while ago.
He seems like he really feels that was Brian Laundrie.
I was at the parking lot for the Appalachian Trail on the north side of Great Smokestack.
Okay, can you tell me, like, was you at an overlook?
Hey, Dolly.
Are you there?
Y'all know how cell phones lose their signal.
Hello?
Okay,
Are
there's
you
that.
still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably going through the gorge. You lose service every now and then. So where did you see him at?
On Waterville Road.
Okay. And just on Waterville, or did you see him near a house? Could you see a mailbox?
He was driving a truck, and I stopped and talked to him.
Okay. Was he going up Waterville or back towards 40?
He was going away from 40.
40 is an interstate, by the way, you guys.
Okay. What color truck?
It was a white truck. I think it was a Ford F-150. I'm not 100% sure of that. And it was kind of a newer model. It wasn't like an old beater. It was a newer truck.
He sounds like he's really
okay. And
convinced.
What makes you say that it was him?
Well, first off, I was making a U-turn and in the road, and he came up behind me and he slowed down and kind of flashed his lights. like telling me, "Oh, go ahead and go, and I'm going to wait for you." And as
Yeah,
I
we just
turned
found this
around and
out.
I'm coming back by him, he's waving his arm out of his truck, like for me to slow down. And I pull up next to him. I'm getting ready to go through the tunnel here. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I stopped and I was.
Oh, come on.
I think I lost you.
Damn it.
And he was talking wild. He said that his girlfriend loved him and he had to go out to California to see her. And he was asking me how to get to California. And I said, well, you can get on I-40 right there and drive west and you'll get there. And he said, no, I think I can go this way, and kind of left. But he was acting funny. And I wasn't sure about what he looked like. And then I went and parked and pulled up the photographs of him. And I'm 99.99% sure that was him.
Okay.
Now, eyewitness statements and eyewitness testimony is always an iffy thing. But again, this was on the 4th of October. This was 3 weeks or so after the last time Brian Laundrie was seen. And I don't think for 5 seconds that his mother and his father just dropped him off at an entrance into the swamps. I don't believe that. You cannot do a 24 or 48 hours in those sorts of conditions without something happening, okay? Animal bite, snake, reptile, whatever. Even walking, you're damn sure not going to swim, okay? You're damn sure not going to swim around. It just seems more realistic that he could possibly be up in the Appalachians, but the truth of the matter, they say this guy is a survivalist. So I just know that it would be probably a little bit easier, or maybe you'd have a less likely to die if you did your survival, whatever you operation in Appalachians versus the freaking Florida swamp. I'm just saying. You guys, Gabby had maintained regular contact with her family during all of this. Even if she was what you would consider being in a domestic violence relationship with Brian Laundrie, she was 22 years old. She's young, new to life, okay? And a lot of people shut down in situations like that, right? They don't want to really tell their family what's going on in their personal life and that sort of a thing. But my understanding is she maintained regular contact. I don't know how much the family knew as far as their details of their relationship, but that contact just ceased in the end of August, which absolutely lines up with when she was last seen, which was August 27th. Let's check out some more, you guys. These are text messages, okay, between the family, group text. Oh, no. Wait, hold on. This is interesting. I'm looking for the video, by the way, regarding the laundry baskets. I will find it. But this is where Gabby's body was found, and amazingly, you guys remember we were watching the video. Remember the van that was parked there? And remember that video where we could see a man on the other side here? It looks like he was digging.
Someone decided to create a little bridge to cross the embankment, and just from there, just hop over.
Looking at it, you would never know that an entire murder investigation took place there, right? You don't see any sorts of signs of that. That is definitely the area.
Someone created Gabby's name with twigs right next to the cross, overlooking the creek. Due to the recent rain, the creek was pretty heavy flowing, so it's difficult to cross over. But right over there is where they found Gabby's body, towards those trees. There was no clear path or clear area to cross.
So I guess there is this little video has been going around. They're calling it the Laundrie family group text. Somebody's it's like they're kind of memeing on him, making fun of him a little bit. Look, people have even been recording this family over their private fence too. Wow. Remember the sister here, Brian Laundrie's sister here? She came out and she had a couple of statements and all of that too. Banner plane is back up over the Laundrie house. It says, "In the silence, justice for Gabby," paid for by a group of people on TikTok. People have hired planes and they've been flying banner planes over Brian Laundrie's family home. Wow, man. Wow. They are absolutely clowning on these people. By the way, Dog the Bounty Hunter has gone home. He had been out there searching for, like, what was it, 2 weeks? He is now returned home, from my understanding. Another sighting of Brian Laundrie at the Virginia Appalachian Trail. The way he stands and talks sounds just like him. Can't make out what they are talking about. Believe me, there's going to be somebody that would take Brian in and shelter him. But this was a supposed sighting of him.
Oh my.
Right here. And who knows?
Case, a source close to the Laundrie family has told me that law enforcement says they found fresh traces of a campsite in the reserve. As you know, authorities are currently searching for Brian Laundrie in the Carlton Preserve in Venice, Florida. An attorney for the Laundrie family says the parents believe that's exactly where he's located.
It's almost like the family, like the mother and father, after a while, started worrying about their son. But the truth of the matter is, they helped him. They helped him. I don't know if there's any legal laws that they can loop to charge them with anything, but there's no question in my mind. But again, I'm just stating an opinion here, okay? I do believe that at the very least, Brian Laundrie's mother helped him elude authorities. Absolutely. And I believe the father has some guilt in that too. I think that's why all of a sudden they want to be all helpful the last couple of days. And of course, you know, if I'm sure they've tapped the phones. Like, they know the incoming and outgoing calls. It would be absolutely insane for Brian Laundrie to ever reach out and try to call his parents right now, you know. We don't know what kind of secret measures they have in place to communicate with each other. What would be a good form of communication if you were Brian Laundrie? Like, if any of you guys were ever put in that situation where you were on the run, in a situation like Brian Laundrie, what would be a way that you would communicate back to your family to tell them you're okay, but also not to out your location? I would say, but I'm not. But I say that to say for any authorities that may be listening is don't just depend on a phone call. Messages, communication can happen in a variety of different ways. There are some things that could be, hitting those phones that the Laundrie family has, those cell phones. And just because you're monitoring their incoming and outgoing calls, you may not realize that they may be communicating another way. Internal apps. Internal app communication isn't going to show up on call records, right? If the Laundrie family attorney knows where Brian is that covered under attorney-client privilege? And does he have to tell the FBI? Let's see what they say here. I'm interested to know the answer to that, right?
We're going to string through a few of these questions from viewers. They sent us these video questions on Twitter, and I want to begin with a question that Sherry had for you.
If the Laundrie family attorney knows exactly where Brian is that covered under attorney-client privilege?
Well, Sherry, when it comes to affirmatively telling law enforcement where someone is, no one is required to do so. Now, don't even think of it as terms of, is it Brian's lawyer or not? No one is required to go affirmatively to a police officer and say, hey, I know where he is. Now, if you're asked by law enforcement and you lie, that's a crime. And lawyers, although they do have attorney-client privilege, there's still something called a crime fraud exception. So if the lawyer is helping Brian escape, if the lawyer is destroying evidence, then that would be a crime and the lawyer could be charged with a crime. But no, the lawyer, even if he knows where Brian is under no obligation to affirmatively go to law enforcement and tell them.
That's a question I know a lot of people have had, Dave. All right, this next question comes from Dalton about cold cases. Listen.
I was just curious, how much time has to go by without any new leads, any new information, any new tips for this to transition into a cold case?
A case becomes cold, Dalton, when all investigative leads available to the primary investigators are exhausted. And so then it goes into like a cold designation, and it's usually after a period of time. So in many jurisdictions, it's about 3 years. So this case is long before it gets to a cold case. It's nowhere near a cold case yet, so you don't have to worry about that. But even if it is a cold case, they are periodically reviewed. There are new technologies like DNA that help break those cases. So it doesn't mean that the case is just put aside forever. It still remains open in its own way.
Dave, new tonight, we had heard that the Teton County coroner is going to come out tomorrow and hold some sort of press conference. We anticipate it is in relation to Gabby's autopsy. So this question is connected to that and comes from Andy.
If the autopsy is done and the coroner's report is complete, is it unusual that they haven't released Gabby's remains to her family yet? And what might that tell us about the investigation?
Well, I don't think we know if the remains have been released to the family. I haven't seen that yet. But in general, once the tests and all the physical evidence is taken, then they release it to the family within 48 hours. At least that's what happens in Florida. Even when the cause of death is pending, even when the toxicology reports are outstanding, the body is generally released to the family within 48 hours after the physical evidence is removed and the tests are taken. So I don't know whether the body here was sent to Gabby's family already, but I wouldn't read too much into that. Sometimes also in high profile cases, you can see that law enforcement will be extra careful. Medical examiners will do
Nanya,
more
good to
tests
see you.
because of
We're
the
just
great
getting
public
caught up on this
attention.
here.
And timing and strategy all play into this. All right, Dave, this next question.
Interesting questions they're asking of the attorney, right? From a legal perspective, it's quite interesting, to say the least. Now, the laundry baskets. The laundry baskets. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Just taking all this in.
I was here when the police chief had the press conference and said, we have our eyes on Brian Laundrie. We know where he is. And we're not going to tell the media, but we know where he is. And then I think it was the next day that suddenly he was missing. I mean, how did that happen?
Well,
I think you have a situation where you're working on intelligence, you're working on the best that you have, and I think what I'll tell you is that at no time did we make, we weren't lying. We weren't trying to say something to anybody. We were holding that press conference to be transparent about what was going on. I mean, and what would be in our benefit to say that if we thought it wasn't true? No investigation's perfect.
Was he under surveillance? I mean, did you have eyes on him?
What I'll say to that is that we were doing everything within the law that we could with the facts and the circumstances that were at that time.
Do you have any idea how he got away?
What I'll say is that that is a consistent, something that we're working to figure out. As far as how we got away, I don't even know how to answer that.
Well, what I mean is, if he was staying with his parents at the house, and I was out there were a lot of police outside the house a lot of the time.
Why didn't you see him?
I didn't see him, and I was out there. Police were out there. I mean, we've heard stories. Could he have gone out a back door? Could he have, run through a yard? I mean, do you have any idea?
Yeah, no. I think certainly what the family has told us is that he drove out to the park and walked out into the woods. I think that is certainly on the table.
Do you believe the family at this point? Is there reason to not believe them?
Yeah. At this point, everything that I've learned and we figured out is I don't know necessarily what to believe anymore. I think it's certainly possible that they're expressing what they know, but we'll see. I mean, this is an ongoing investigation that will continue to evolve. And I think you saw yesterday the family was out there helping in the search. I think, it's a sign of them trying to work with investigators. So I hope that is, the beginning to maybe more of what they know.
Is there anything more you can share with the Mustang situation? Because so many people are confused that he drove in the Mustang and then his parents would go get the Mustang and bring it back without him. I mean, it doesn't really make sense in some ways.
No, I agree with that. I mean, we've said from the beginning, there's a lot of oddness here, a lot of things that just didn't make sense. I mean, if your son walks out there, now they're saying on a Monday, to report that on a Friday, and then be confused on what day that was. I mean, there's a lot of things that are odd there.
Based on what you do know, do police believe that Brian Laundrie is still alive?
It's possible. I certainly think that it would not surprise me if he is. It wouldn't surprise me if he's not.
Is it 50-50 in your mind? Do you have an inkling one way or the other?
I mean, I guess if we had to put odds on it, I would say that that's probably pretty close. I think I don't want to. We've gotten in a little bit of an issue by thinking we knew something, and I just don't know that it does any good to say, oh, I think he's alive or dead. I think.
So basically, asterisk, police are, quote, working to figure it out as far as how he vanished and said no investigation is perfect. And then asterisk, nothing related to Brian Laundrie has even been found in this reserve, okay? And then asterisk, they are calling circumstances around the parent story a lot of oddness. You think? You think? It would have been better for Chris Laundrie to not have done anything at all, honestly, than to have pulled that, what I call a freaking, almost like a, it just didn't seem right. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. The neighbor last week who lives behind Brian Laundrie on Ulster Avenue that told me witnesses seen Brian run out of his backyard September 17th, the day his parents reported him missing, then run down the street.
Do you know if
There's a lot of people this.
They came back the next day, and I thought I was in trouble because of the protest. Don't you remember? Like, the cop wants to talk to you. And
did they go to any other neighbors, you think? Did they go?
That's crazy. It's crazy. Heartbreaking footage. Dog, the bounty hunter nursed a sprained ankle after searching. What's heartbreaking? I'm trying to understand. That's not dog, right? Who is that? Y'all, these people just be doing just anything, right, to get some attention. Now, Dr. Phil. Oh, really? Dr. Phil has something to say?
Do the right thing now.
Okay, let's let it
Brian, if
play.
you're listening to me right now, let me tell you something. You may have done the wrong thing then. Do the right thing now, because you're not helping yourself.
Not at all.
At this point, you are alienating more people, and when you're in a hole, stop digging. They're not going to stop looking at you.
Yeah.
I got a big platform and a big mouth, and I am not letting this go away. I don't care what your mother's telling you. I don't care what your lawyer's telling you. Do the right thing and turn yourself in right now.
Wow. I didn't know Dr. Phil had
Brian, if
made
you're
that
listening to me right
announcement.
now, let me tell you something. You may have done the wrong thing then. Do the right thing now, because you're not helping yourself.
Man, when I tell you guys, like, to me, it just, he has no intention to give himself up, okay? I'm pretty sure many have figured this out by now, right? He has no intention to turn himself in. I don't think Brian Laundrie has killed himself. I don't think he has the guts. I think that he wants to get away with this crime and he wants to run as far as he can, but I don't think he would have went on the run to then turn around and like kill himself. We're talking planes are flying banners above their family's home. They're leaving laundry baskets. Reporters are literally sleeping outside of their home. Cars driving by like crazy.
So Christopher Laundrie left the house this morning in the red truck, came here to the reserve, parked over there, kind of behind the trees. He was then picked up on sort of an all-terrain golf cart-looking little vehicle by law enforcement, and then they took him over here behind where this Northport police cruiser is, down that dirt road and over the bridge and into the reserve. So we don't know where he is right now, but Christopher Laundrie is here with law enforcement.
Now is putting the FBI in closer contact with the father. So it is a bit unusual.
Definitely check out Twitter videos when you get a chance, guys. Hold on. What is this? Oh, that was a bolo. That was on the 8th. That was on the 8th. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much here. Look at him sneaking and filming the family as they're in their backyard. People are saying that this is a secret entrance to an underground bunker where Brian's been hiding out all along. I don't see that. I don't see that, but they really are serious about this though, aren't they? They can make anything look like anything these days with the footage and the videos. Girl in a car keeps driving back and forth in front of the Laundrie home playing, I always feel like somebody's watching me. And I have no privacy. Oh. Wow. It gives me Casey Anthony vibes, not due to what Casey Anthony did. I'm talking about more of the case after the fact, the way things just, Florida, Central Florida, that how reporters literally staked the home. They're getting their groceries delivered by Instacart. I haven't seen the mother come out and do a lot of these things. It's been mostly Christopher who's been like the go-to, the in-between. Now, why are people saying this looks like somebody's reaching up through the flower bed? Is it possible that this could be an underground bunker? Like, What is that coming out of the flower bed though? What was that? It almost seems like to me something maybe went down. I can tell the video has been edited, so I absolutely don't trust this. It looks like to me something fell out of her hand and she picked it up. I think that somebody's playing some games there. So this is the parents taking the poster in the laundry baskets. Here it is, y'all. Look at this.
Do you know where Brian's passport is? Do you have anything to say about Gabby? A lot of the neighbors think you guys know more than you're saying. They're dropped off the sign. They want you to know that they're concerned that you guys know more than you're saying.
We watched them hammer that sign into the ground. And you know, at this point, the family's walking around with disguises on, hats and glasses and stuff.
And thrown under the bus by my family's attorney. Understand, I'm in the boat where I'm getting ignored by my family and thrown under the bus by my family's attorney. Understand, I'm in the boat where I'm getting ignored by my family and thrown under the bus.
Well, maybe you'll crack and tell people what you know. Damn, this is crazy. This is crazy. This whole case is nuts. It's just crazy. Conditions may be improving in the search for Brian Laundrie, who officials say was under. So, if he was under surveillance and then disappeared while under surveillance, right?
Where the search continues for Brian Laundrie, whose fiancée, Gabby Petito, was found dead in Wyoming last month.
All right, guys.
The Laundrie family attorney says the water in the reserve is receding and certain areas are more accessible to search, but
I don't think he's in that reserve. I don't think he's anywhere near that reserve. Now, let me, there was was it Mysteries and Crime went live? And let me look at the video. Just see what they're doing here. Of course, commercials. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, skip. There we go. Yeah. So I've been following this page though for the longest time, but yeah, there's this page called Mysteries and Crime, and the title is Brian Laundrie is not in Florida / Gabby Petito case updates. Yeah, so I would say if there's any channel that you know, a nice blogging channel that you want to get like really good updates from, Mysteries and Crime definitely does that. Chasing a Murderer is another one, another good channel too. They've been covering the story, so. Wow. Dying to know what was so funny at the reserve today. Northport police should have never lost sight of Brian Laundrie in the first place.
Pathologist and Fox News contributor here now to break down the recent developments in the case. Dr. Bodden, good to see you. I've been excited to talk to you about this because I think a lot of people don't quite understand if they know the cause of death. Why, in your estimation, has it not been released?
Well, it's unusual not to release the cause of death, especially if they're releasing the manner of death. In order to get to the manner of death, you got to know what the cause of death is. And part of it is that this is a federal investigation. Since the body was found on federal property, it was a federal investigation, and there aren't too many federal homicides. So that I think there's just a caution involved.
It's the real leaky. It's really me. It's really me. I have I don't know which channel you've got to probably you're probably in, like, I don't know, you might be in Interloper Nation, which is probably why you're asking yourself. But that's me too. Shout out to interlopernation.com. But we have crimes and investigations too, and we're branching out. We're trying to expand our horizons, as they say. But it is the real me. I caught a strike actually on my main channel. Was it yesterday or day before? No, it was maybe the day before that. And I actually do believe I did violate YouTube guidelines in that case, although I didn't realize I was violating it at the time. But you know how it goes. But it's really me. It's really me.
Investigators to make sure they didn't miss anything. But in the normal course, the cause of death would have been released immediately with the manner of death.
You know, in some situations, I think that you can go under the assumption that if information is not released, it could perhaps be for a specific reason that investigators don't want it to get out because that could hurt their investigation or their search for Brian Laundrie. But you say it could also be the opposite, where it could help more tips come in.
Absolutely. This is a prime case for crowdsourcing and social media being of help to a police investigation. They're the ones who found the conversation with the Moab police.
Facts. And social media was also the ones that helped discover the van, the footage that was taken. Remember that dash cam footage that was taken by that individual who had been driving in Grand Teton National Park and literally came up on Gabby Petito's van, parked right there in Grand Teton National Park. And within a day or two, police located Gabby's body at that location. The truth of the matter is, guys, the coroner has said that Gabby had been dead 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. So how long was her body in the van is my question. How long was she out in the elements? There's all sorts of questions that come up that the coroner did not provide answers for. They were very, very stingy with the information.
There was an argument between the two. The crowd is the people who found the van near where the body was found.
And let me add this too. 2 women were killed in Moab, Utah. We're talking at the exact same time when all of this happened, the same weekend. Okay. So that is also very suspicious as well.
Maybe with the release of the cause of death, there's somebody out there who will say, that brings up a point that has been overlooked so far. And I think that crowdsourcing has become a very important
That's
part
what I
of
said,
police
Squid, when
in the past few years.
Most people in Florida don't, like you said, they don't have basements, never mind bunkers. Yeah, it's I think they're kind of dreaming when it comes to that clip. I think somebody's playing games too. All right. With all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and end this video for now. I do want to say this, guys. I don't know what this craze is of these. What is it? The squid? How's that? What's the name of that show? Squid Game, right? Something like Squid Game. It's on Netflix. Man, when I tell you guys, it's a Korean show. I got to watching it and I am pulled in. I'm like all the way pulled in. I am on episode 2 at this point, and I can't tear my eyes away from it because it's such a very interesting concept. So yeah, we're going to have to come back on here and talk about that show, in the next couple of lives, the Squid Game. It is an interesting Korean series that dropped on Netflix. So everybody's talking about it. It's probably number 1 on the trending list of shows being watched as far as, shows people are enjoying or whatnot these days. But yeah, I had to come up on here and give you guys an update on the story. Shout out to everybody out there on Facebook, YouTube. It's no longer Periscope. It's just Twitter now. And Twitch. Shout out to all of you. Twitch actually classified my shows as talk shows and podcasts, which I thought was really interesting. So we've been getting a lot of viewership on Twitch. And so shout out to all of you who may be playing games and just on Twitch, just listening, and somehow came across my channel. Definitely subscribe for future lives just like this. We are going to go out, guys, with the bang here. Give me a sec. Because I do want to I just want to kind of go out with information being stated. 1 second, please.
Let's bring in Nancy Grace. She joins us by phone. Nancy, you've been anticipating
Much
this
love
moment
to
for
Nancy
quite some
Grace.
time.
Shout out
What
to
was your
Nancy.
takeaway?
Here we go.
Well, I think that it's very significant we are learning the cause of death. And the fact that it is a strangulation, in my mind, even more so implicates Brian Laundrie. I think that when DNA results are in, we'll find out even more. Legal Eagles had long thought the COD, cause of death, would either be strangulation or blunt force trauma. I find strangulation to often be used. It's called a sweetheart murder. In other words, the perpetrator is close up and intimate with the victim, and we find that often in domestic homicides.
I feel like Nancy's been watching me or something. We've absolutely expressed that here quite a few times, that again, strangulation is a very up close and personal, intimate thing to do to somebody, and it takes a amount of time to do it as well. Like, this isn't, like I said, you may not think that 2, 3, 4 minutes is a long time, but I can assure you, if you are strangling somebody for 2, 3, 4 minutes, it is going to be a long time to the person that's doing the strangling. Believe me. Not the person getting, well, of course, the person being strangled too, but I'm talking about the person that's trying to inflict that type of harm. That's just, if you don't believe me, get a timer out and run it for 3 minutes and act like you're strangling something, a pillow or something, and see what I'm talking about. It is an up close and intimate thing to do. And when you hear strangulation, usually that's done by either, I could say that in this case, it does kind of point more to Mr. Laundrie, right? Got to be up and close and personal to do that to somebody. But my God, when you do that, and you can actually compress somebody's windpipe for 3 or 4 minutes straight with no letting up to kill them. What does that say about the person doing it, right? It's crazy. Anyway, I just wanted to say that before I got up off of here, guys. I will see y'all next time, all right?
Yeah, Nancy, I was going to say the idea of strangulation, particularly of a young woman like this, after circumstances that we have seen in other videos at other times, to you, is that suggestive of a crime of passion?
It's absolutely suggestive of a crime of passion. I had long suspected it would be either strangulation or asphyxiation or blunt force trauma in a fit of rage. But here we have Gabby out in the wilderness alone with Brian Laundrie. We know she was contemplating leaving him because so many people had just told her to reconsider the relationship. And there she is, alone with him, contemplating leaving. And statistically, the single most dangerous time for a woman contemplating leaving a relationship that's the single most dangerous time. And there she is, alone. What is really floors me is what it must have taken for him to leave her decomposing for 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm really happy in one way, or relieved is a better word, that they could even determine a cause of death due to potential decomposure of Gabby Petito.
And as far as what the details we just learned, what they do in tying or potentially making the connection to Brian Laundrie in the court of law. Nancy, I would ask you, referencing what a Salt Lake City-based private investigator is quoted talking about in our .com piece today, saying that he was not going to be surprised if it was manual strangulation or if he had choked her before. He said when he was watching that police video in Utah and she described how Laundrie grabbed her face during a domestic dispute, he said, the private investigator said that any victim who's been choked before, their natural reaction is to lower their chin to their clavicle to prevent that hand from going around their throat, suggesting that's what he saw her do in that video. Do you believe that law enforcement and lawyers are going to be able to make any sort of connection here?
I absolutely do believe that. You know, it's amazing what type of DNA is left behind, be it saliva, blood, semen, epithelial, which is skin cells. I hope that the decomposure did not ruin or compromise any of his DNA, if in fact it was there at all. But I can tell you this much. The fact that she was strangled out there, and when you look at her in that body cam video from Moab, August the 12th, the way she kept holding her hand up to her chest, near her neck. I mean, it's very, very disturbing. I now think that investigators, police, FBI, will use extrinsic evidence, such as placing Brian Laundrie at that location or the vicinity near the time of death, to place him there with her. So there's no way for a jury to find someone else did this thing. You know, through phone records, through receipts, through nav system on the Ford Transit, the navigation system, placing him there at the approximate time of her death. They will be able to do it.
Well, Nancy, you heard the coroner, Brett Blue, say that it may be, we may not know the exact date of death because of the state of decomposure of the body and the amount of time that the body went undiscovered. So if you're looking at that theory of trying to place Brian Laundrie in the same area at the time of her death, this coroner is suggesting that may be a difficult hill to climb.
Well, I have no doubt in my mind they will not be able to pinpoint a day. But if I look at the last time she's seen alive, the next time he's seen alone, and those receipts of him traveling across the country based on the time that he got home and the time she was last seen alive, I bet your bottom dollar we'll get a 3 or 4 day window of her time of death. And if they can place him there in that campground at that time, it's over.
Nancy, Steve Bertolino, who represents Brian Laundrie's family, the attorney for the Laundrie family, has put out a statement following the reveal of the autopsy results, saying that Gabby Petito's death at such a young age is a tragedy. He writes, while Brian Laundrie is currently charged with the unauthorized use of a debit card belonging to Gabby, Brian is only considered a person of interest in relation to Gabby Petito's demise. At this time, Brian is still missing, and when he is located, we will address the pending fraud charge against him. Your reaction, Nancy?
Well, that's exactly what I would expect him to say. That's what he's being paid to say. So I'm not surprised at all. He wants me to think about the debit card when I find out Gabby Petito was strangled dead and her body left to decompose, and I'm thinking about a Chick-fil-A drive-thru. Are you kidding me? He'd like me to think about that. But right now I'm thinking about Gabby Petito being strangled dead, and that is plenty of time to form premeditation and the time it takes to strangle someone. So now we know this was no accident. She didn't fall down and hit her head. She didn't fall into a ravine and drown. We know she died by strangulation. We know she died of asphyxiation. She was murdered. And if they can place him there in the 72 hours of the time she was murdered, it's going to be hard to pinpoint that down. But I bet you it will be close enough for a jury. What do you expect the defense attorney to say? Yeah, he did it. Now, can I tell you where he is? That's not going to happen.
Nancy, let me come back to something that you said just a couple of minutes ago here as you're giving us your final detailed analysis. And that is that maybe, whoever strangled Gabby Petito left epithelial skin cells around the strangulation area. You said that you hope that that DNA
Hey, Grandma,
survived in
good
the
to see you, bud.
decomposure being out there in the elements. The fact that Brian Laundrie is still just a person of evidence and has not been connected with the death of Gabby Petito, is that a suggestion that there is not yet any kind of evidence that could potentially tie either him or any suspect to her death? Is that a suggestion that maybe that evidence that you talked about does not exist?
I like what you said when you said not yet. You said not yet, and you're absolutely correct. Not yet. But it ain't over yet. Right now, if they have managed to get any DNA, there's still got to be comparisons done. And yes, I think they may have been able to do it by now, but I don't know that. But what I do know is he was with her, he's alive, she's dead. The DNA will be coming. Do I think it survived? Probably not. But if she was still clothed, and I think that she was, we got a better chance of getting DNA off the clothes.
As far as any further detailed information, the toxicology report, obviously he did not reveal. He said only cause and manner of death was what he was going to reveal today. Do you believe there will be any further surprise details that come from what they have learned since they have had her body?
Yes, I do. I definitely do, because if there were no surprises in it, why would they keep it a secret? So right now, either they're not complete or they're withholding evidence. Why? Why would they withhold evidence? And you've just got to think reasonably. What's the likelihood that somebody else would come kill Gabby Petito, this beautiful young girl, when Brian Laundrie's the one making off in her van with her debit card? What did he think? She was going to rub two sticks together out there and make dinner? Think it through. Who else the likelihood that he would steal her van and all of her stuff, her hard drive, her computer, her belongings, use her debit card, and somebody else happens along and kills her? That doesn't even make sense.
Nancy Grace, it's always great to talk to you, get your analysis. We look forward to more of your coverage on this. Appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you, and our prayers with the Petito family right now. This must be awful for them.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
More coming on this story, guys. We'll keep our eyes posted on it, and I'll definitely keep you guys updated. Definitely subscribe to this crime and investigations channel that we have been spinning out, and we have now hit over 1,000 subscribers on this channel now, and I'm looking forward to 5K, 10K, and on. We will continue to bring only crimes and investigations content on our Crimes and Investigations channel. Until next time, guys.